Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing as Great Shing here in patch 1.5. We are continuing off of a bit of a bridge episode. The starting steps episode had a bug at the end, and so we had to play through all the starting steps again, which we did on stream, and that stream was both kind of the start and the second episode, and coming off the back that, we had several things going on. So first of all, we managed to get onto agrarianism, which is notably increasing aristocrats' investment pool contribution by 50%. I believe this is quite strong on Qing, because if we look at the investment pool and we look at what reinvestment's coming from, we see subsistence rice paddies, which are owned by aristocrats, are giving 150k to the investment pool. So 50k free money coming out from them, because the way that this modifier works, this increased investment pool contribution efficiency, the way this modifier works is it's not very normal in that it doesn't increase actually the amount these guys are paying out. The aristocrats always pay out 10% of their dividends. If we take a look, we can take a look at the sub-farm. They always pay out 10% of their dividends. In this case, this 50k. 10% of this gets investment. This is the amount of money that gets extracted from the aristocrats. However, the amount that gets contributed to the pool is going to be modified by that plus 50%. So 15% goes into the pool instead. 15% of this 50k, they only spend 10k. That other 5k in this particular building, that's free. And if it's free, it's for me. We notably also had a bit of a come up on technology, and we are well on our way for going for railways. We are going to need this because we have infrastructure problems. We have focused on expanding construction. 400 is a decent number. 430, kind of 10 years in, we could maybe have, pushed this up a little bit. We're making a ton of money now, so we're going to look to push this up right now. And hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll be around 1200, 1k, 1200, something like this, something to this effect. We notably don't want to enact homesteading, because this will change the ownership class from being aristocrat to being a mix of aristocrat and, farmers. And so we don't want to get onto a workers' cooperative type thing, or homesteading rather, because it's going to be diluted by farmers, and we will lose this massive investment pool. For most countries that aren't China, homesteading is a decent shout. We are not going to want to do that. We also have expanded a little bit, and we have finished and resolved the Opium Wars, and so now we can declare wars again. We spent some time, kind of trying to expand in a way that was useful, didn't require too many wars, and for that we took Transvaal and Orania, which of course are going to give an enormous amount of gold later on, and we also traded Alaska with Russia, and this is kind of how things have been going. We notably, as a point of emphasis in our construction sectors, with both our initial start and our restart, we are building these in places that particularly have coal and iron, and coming on to both, agrarianism, as well as researching stock exchange, has greatly helped our MAPI, and that's market access price impact. This is a very strong modifier, and getting plus 10% here, getting rid of the 15% malice that we get on traditionalism for market access price impact, in addition to, some of the rivers we have, the Yangtze River bonus, which is giving us 5% market access price impact, and the Yellow River, we actually critically have 90% or 90% on our MAPI in some of these areas, which is very, very tremendous. This means that the price is barely getting pulled away from the market price, and so everything's going to be more efficient. And so things are going to be a little bit of a pop-off this episode, and we're going to look to see where we maybe want to expand, although for now, we're expanding in construction. We, of course, realized where we needed to expand, and that was in Bolivia. Not only is Bolivia one of the very best expansion spots, it only costs us 10 infamy to protectorate them. They have access to they're really, really good because they have a really high density of resources relative to their population side, so you don't pay a lot of infamy, you get a lot of resources. On top of that, they have a ton of gold, and on top of that, they have access to one of the very best companies here in Antofagasta, which is going to be we can't scroll through it here, but it is the Sulfur and Railroad Company, which is one we actually might end up using, even though we already have a really good coal and railroad company, because we will get sulfur from here, we will get coal from our railroad company, and then we will probably use generic iron and lead for our later company, and this way we will get a total of 40% throughput on the railways in addition to 5% infrastructure, and so we really won't have to build a lot of railways, and then this is going to be really nice because railroads kind of suck. Now, we're making a ton of money. The reason we're making a ton of money is we forgot we had gotten a Diplo pact at the very end, a bankroll from France. We got one from Prussia. The AI is pretty okay with swaying this because everyone knows Prussia needed help to defeat Hamburg. And then, of course, we are going after the very classic Bahrain. The reason for this is it's a split state between the Trucial states and Bahrain, and this is the state with the very most oil in the game. It is 80 oil between the two of these combined, which is going to be big nice later on, and it only costs 1 infamy to go for, and we're pretty infamous, but shout out to this guy, Mr. Emperor, because Mr. Emperor has cautious, which is going to be great because minus 20% infamy generation. We also will really like to have trade agreements with guys like France and Great Britain, because this will give us ticking positive relations with them, which is going to make it less likely that they thumb our pies. Yeah, baby. Gold Rush and Transvaal, this is why we take it, and it has a ton of resources. So there's a new update to the user interface. In the construction menu, you can go into settings, and you can switch it to what you want. You can look at a workforce in terms of job seekers, people who want to switch up jobs. Notably, all the peasants want to trade up, or the peasants tend to want to trade up. You can sort by peasants, and you can sort by unemployed. Critically speaking, unemployed are the ones you absolutely most want to get rid of, and I don't mean by letting them starve to death, because they get minus 40% birth rate penalty, and so this is going to be pretty significant. And so when we are looking for stuff that we are not going to be that concerned with the map on in terms of where we construct it, a good example of this is going to be the textile mills. We are going to be a little bit less concerned, especially the first level of a textile mill, which is generally wildly efficient. Where we are going to build it is going to be the places that have the most unemployed people, and we want to just drop in a smattering, trying to not build too much where there's not enough infrastructure. We are also notably expanding construction sectors there, because we are getting to the point where the places where we really want the construction sectors, we don't have the infrastructure to support them, so instead we're looking where we have available unemployment, or where we have a lot of unemployment, and looking to push them there. Also, a lot of these unemployed people are migrating. So, for example, Alaska is starting to fill up some, getting a pretty good amount of migration here coming in. And this is also one of the reasons why going after places in South America, or just the New World in general, is quite strong as Qing, is because it will give you an outlet that your unemployed pops can migrate to. And this is very, very strong. I'm not sure if we showed it off, but they are, in fact, a protectorate here. And so this is going to be good. Partially because of this, we've declared interests in both Great Plains and Dixie, in the hopes that we can sway onto the side of Mexico in exchange for a state in the event that the United States tries to go after Mexico, which we know that they will. So with a lot of our declared interests, the principal motivation behind them is we are hoping to get plays in the region that someone else is declaring that we can join on the side of. An example of which is we know that France is going to go after Algeria, and so we swayed in on the side of that in exchange for French Guiana, and now, of course, we can just say smell you later, and they won't mind a thing, and we just exit this play. We are also, notably, as part of wanting to do this, as well as kind of set ourselves up for later, we are expanding the light ships up to, level 80 in our fleet. Notably speaking, Qing has access to just the same frigates as the UK does, and so they have a very, strong navy potential at the game start. They don't have a very strong navy whatsoever, but they are not behind in technology, like how we are behind in technology in terms of we don't have skirmish infantry, and we're not particularly close to it. And so by, leveraging our navy, we are hoping to, be able to declare a lot more interests, yes, but also use this as a means of kind of extending our power rather than the army, although, this many line infantry is still pretty good. With Jiangxi, we are adding a third place where we are building universities up to economies of scale, which is currently 21. Notably, you want to build up to economies of scale pretty aggressively with the universities, because almost all of the price of what's going on is in the wages, and what throughput does is it increases the input costs of the goods, it increases the amount of input goods, and it increases the outputs, but it doesn't increase wages. So critically speaking, it's going to be extra valuable, it's going to be extra valuable the higher wages are relative to the price of the inputs. And so this is one thing. Another thing is, okay, well, we're over the innovation cap. What are we doing? This innovation cap is a soft cap, not a hard cap. It only caps our direct research. The 100 or so that is overflowing instead overflows into our technology spread at a lower rate, and you can see here we are getting plus 19 from unspent innovation And this is really closer to plus 60 because it's plus 19 in each category that we are natural spreading, and so we are going to use this in order to catch up on technology. Because we have so many universities, we're almost certainly going to, as much as we'd like to research colonization, we're almost certainly going to next, go towards empiricism and actually try and work our way towards dialectics. I think, well, maybe this is a little bit too early, but yeah, we can probably ahead of time go for dialectics following railways. Although water tube boiler is extraordinarily attractive, the more universities we have, of which we have a lot, the more useful dialectics will be, and so this is attractive. It's going to be between these two choices, however, though, and just wanted to mention that, you know, if you're backward and you have a huge economy, building universities is going to be really useful, because the benefits of a university, because it gives you technology, like let's say us getting onto condensing pump engine, the benefits are exponential, but the costs, that is the innovation, are linear, because in order to increase your innovation, you just need to build more unis. And so because of this, the bigger your economy, the more universities become attractive, and if you are playing really small, you actually want to shy away from universities for the most part. We not spread intensive agriculture, so before we turn this on, we're going to actually put down a fertilizer plant in several different areas, and it might seem a little random, but this is almost a perfect overlap with our sulfur mines that we have here, because the sulfur mines are one of the major components of this, and in particular, notably, Shaanxi has really, really good mapping considerations because it has all these resources, and we are going to put in explosives in there. And so we don't need it at the front of the queue, but we want to seed a little bit of explosives going on into there. Notably, we also see a gold mine, so we'll of course add those into the queue, because very, very profitable, very big, nice, and we see that their place is out of infrastructure or getting close. We are really, really running out of infrastructure in a lot of places, and so this is forcing us to spread out a lot more, but this is why, railways was such a priority for us, and why we're going to be getting it very shortly. So this war is, of course, why we have the triple interest, set up here in our declare interests. They can notably declare war in the Great Plains, in Dixie, and also in the Pacific Coast on Mexico, and we see that they have declared on Mexico with return Texas, which is in Dixie, and sometimes they return Colorado or Utah, and so you really need all three, but this is the war we wanted to sway into, especially because we are really, really big, and so Mexico is really willing to give us a lot. They're willing to become a subject. Now, we'll take a look at what they're willing to give the USA, but it's really not much, and so we are going to ask Mexico, will you kindly become a subject? And then we will send over a bunch of troops to defend their front, which is going to be, super, super nice for us, getting the free subject. Even if we somehow lose this war, we'll still have, like, the lower bits of Mexico, and we will look to annex these guys eventually, and they are critically very, very nice for us, because they have unused arable land, so when we eventually annex them, it will give us a place to send, our unemployed pops. That way we are not getting that minus 40%, growth rate as a result of having a lot more unemployed pops. We're still trying to go after that a little bit in terms of our construction queue, but mainly looking to get rails as fast as possible. Notably, they are now natural spreading to it, so you can take a look. From technology spread, we're getting 25 to 76. It's a roll, and so it's an average of 50, but we're averaging around 125, and our natural spread is almost as big as our active spread, and we're still looking to push it up even more. We have really, really low literacy, and so we're going to mainly just be a lot of our research is just going to be seemingly random, and so we are going to be very aggressive about pushing ahead of time, though, with our researches, because we're going to be making so much up in terms of, natural spread, that we can really kind of just push for the specific text we want, in this case, dialectics, to unlock philosophy department, to add 50% innovation. The current PM is giving us 2 innovation, this gives us 3, and this is going to be really good. In addition, the qualifications are going to be a problem for us. Then maybe we go mechanized workshops, for the economies of scale, to further push our universities and build them up to 31, something like this. But this is going to be a nice, easy war for us. and we'll send in the troops. You might be oversending troops here and look to rake a few back. Notably, 2 of these guys are just defending in North China as a result of us having enormous convoy problems. As soon as you notice these, you do want to set in. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to put at the front of the queue a whole bunch of convoys. Basically, our entire coastline, we're going to make all convoys just to try and support this war and make sure we're not running too big a malice. Big nice on the railways. Okay, now that we have railroads, we can help to solve... We have a pretty big iron deficit problem, and we've been trying to import, just to try and maximize the construction. We definitely haven't caught up with, what's going on, but this is going to really, really cause our economy to go vroom. And so what we're going to be doing is we are going to be pushing up every place that's relatively high earnings, that already has some iron mines. We're going to be pushing them up to the max economies of scale, so that means this 7 is going to 21, this loud car outside... Big loud, big nice, is going to go to 21. They're all going to go to 21. Everyone gets there's a 21 party and everyone's invited because now we can solve all these problems with our, well, we can't solve that problem. That one's not going up to 21, isn't it? The two-thirds. Okay, so we will also make sure that we have the railroads on wooden passenger carriages. We have our first railways coming in, and we will make sure to, add a little bit more over what we seem to be having. Also, we are going to be in here. This is going to be where we make an industrial center. It notably has this river, so eventually we'll have 100% MAPI, and so we can put an encourage manufacturing edict down here, a la before pre-1.5 beta, and we can really, really crank up the manufacturing here. And the reason we chose this state is it has the absolute most pops. It has more pops than any other state in the game, if I'm not mistaken. If we come in here and we look at population, it should be just a little bit more than the North, just a little bit more than North Bengal. And so this is what we're going to plan on doing, as we progress further. And you can see we've already, started to commit to that by building a motor industry here, even though steel will not be as good here because we don't have access to iron. When you have 100% MAPI, you don't really care too much. So we get an agitator here from the Confucian scholars that is a theocrat who's going to agitate for us going theocracy. And this one's a little bit interesting because, well, normally you want to go not state religion, but you in fact want to go total separation for migration reasons. But we're probably not going to do that because, 1, we have a particularly strong devout in the Confucian scholars, and 2, we have an enormous amount of pops, and so it's really not that big a concern. In fact, almost everywhere we conquer, we actually are going to be able to migrate people from, mainland China into. And one of the problems with going state religion in general is even if you're planning on doing it, sometimes you have difficulty seeding your religion in various states because there has to be at least one pop of that religion in order for you to start converting. However, that's not going to be a problem when we have 400 million pops and we are going to have mass emigration, right? And so we are definitely going to be able to seed them, and so we are almost certainly going to stay state religion for this run, which normally we haven't done in the past, which means we can go fairly discriminatory if we want. We could even do national supremacy or ethno-state, and this does make it a lot more attractive to go theocracy. Now, the guys oppose it at this current juncture, and boy do they oppose it. A lot of people oppose it, so maybe we don't pass it, but this is something to consider, and we will be considering it, because I'm not sure whether or not we want to pass it. But if we do want to pass it, we can just, promote this dear agitator to government, and then try and pass it through the scholar officials. I think maintaining the scholar officials being happy might be a little bit more important to us, at least at this juncture. They're quite a big portion of, how we're having a come up in terms of the reinvestment here. 179k coming from the sub rice paddies. You notice this number is creeping up. That's because the prices for all these goods in our economy is rising as we pull peasants out of these sub farms and instead give them other jobs, and they are consuming stuff from all these sub farms. The creeping up, you have this creeping up of prices for all of these goods. So even though there's fewer peasants in sub farms, the increasing prices are going to make them more profitable and increase the weekly balance. Probably less pleased about this than if we had won the war, or definitely than if we had won the war, than if we had lost the war, because these borders are absolutely disgusting. This is an abomination. This little claw, this Oklahoma, what? We just Mexico has no taste or care, for how borders look, and now Nevada's cut off. California was ceded, even though it wasn't occupied. Notably, I think the war was a little bugged because Mexican Colorado could not be deoccupied, which I think is why Mexico eventually threw in the towel, but I'm not pleased with this. Not pleased one bit. So we got the forced to step down in shame event, and we rolled an abolitionist on our Confucian scholars, which is going to be pretty nice. We want to get off of serfdom. We didn't want to go homesteading, and so now we can do the happy medium where we go tenant farmers. The scholar officials don't like it, but they are happy enough that this won't cause a rev or anything. We will lose significant investment pool contribution for a short period of time, but overall, I think that this is going to be something that's worth doing, and we don't really have another good law pass that we can do. It notably is going to make some people happy, you know, and these people in turn will give us some benefits like 10% infrastructure, which is pretty nice, you know, the Confucian scholars will be extra happy, although they were already happy. Not too big problem, and we're still considering going on to theocracy, but I think we have to wait for this gentleman to not be a royalist. If I'm not mistaken, the scholar officials do not, they might specifically support, what is it, not, well, actually, no, they're definitely going to hate going, yeah, they're on monarchy, strongly endorse monarchy and neutral to theocracy, so they'll hate it no matter what. Just kidding, didn't mean any of that, but the royalist extra hates it, extra. He opposes theocracy as opposed to is just neutral to theocracy, so he hates it extra more than he could possibly hate before. Nice. Notably, this is going to actually decrease the amount of grain we're producing, but it will slightly increase the income of the pops working in you know, these subsistence farms. If you take a look here, we can actually take a look at the difference between free peasants and serfdom. We will see 3 subsistence output versus 4, and this one notably produces more grain. Now this is more grain per each building, and subsistence output is an interesting one, which is a sort of income that they get producing buildings, cover their own needs. Unlike wages, subsistence output is not paid out from the building's revenue and is not subjected to income taxes, and so it's kind of, in a sort of sense, free money from nowhere, going from serfdom to free peasants, and we notably still get to keep the aristocrat ownership, which is very much what we want at this juncture, especially with our whole agrarianism slash just enormous investment pool, reinvestment amount that we're getting from the sub-rice paddies, and this is going to be super nice for us. We also see something that we can maybe sway our way into. We can't sway, you know, in terms of, we can sway onto the side of the Ottomans, and we don't necessarily want to mix it up too much with the UK, but what we can do is we could just sway, and then as soon as the war starts, we could just leave them. And so this might be something we look into. Man, which is the best one? Well, Constantine looks like what's going on with Constantine? They're a protectorate of the Ottomans, and they have a truce with us, and well, the France couldn't get them because I'm guessing that was a little bit of a bug, and so we can, you know, come in here. Constantine has so much, they have so much iron, and the other one that we would really be considering would be Tripletania, which doesn't have iron, but they have a ton of late game, they have a lot of late game oil. Well, we almost certainly will, like, encounter problems with the French Republic if we go after Constantine, but we also maybe can colonize our way in here, and by breaking their thing, I think getting this ingress into here, into North Africa, might be worth it. Colonization's not spreading to us right now. I mean, either way, we're going to completely abandon them. Notably, the funny one would be, they're looking to get Tunisia. Well, actually, we don't want to take Tunisia because then we'll actually have to fight this. Yep, so we probably in here, we're going to want to, we can't sway on this side because we have a truce with the Ottoman Empire, but probably in here, we're going to look to transfer Constantine. So we unlock dialectics, which is going to be huge, as is Napoleonic warfare as well, as is colonization. So this is all going to be quite nice for us. We want to pass that, but unfortunately, we have this guy kind of sitting in. Now, so the problem is we don't want to roll another pacifist, and we have to go through and check every single one of these guys. So we're just going to roll the dice. This is a little bit careless, but we're going to take this guy out. We don't want him to be a pacifist, so we're going to try exiling him and see if we can get ourselves a loud car outside. See if we can get our... Wow, okay. The truth hurts. So we are going to have a pacifist in here. This is going to make it so we actually can't really pass colonial affairs because if we try to, this will take them down to -14, which will force a rev, and we do not want to fight this sort of revolution. And so this is big sad. We really want to start colonizing. The truth hurts. Everything hurts. But as we were saying, we did finish dialectics, which is going to be a very big one. We have 76, or we have 219 innovation uncapped. Just for the record, as it stands now, we are getting just about as much innovation from our spread as we are from our wee-woos outside. And so with this amount of innovation from our spread, when we are on our current PM, which is going to be less or not as good as the new PM we just unlocked. So we unlocked philosophy department. So we're going from, you know, what is this, 144 innovation to 216 innovation, an extra third roughly. And so now when we are not spreading, we are actually not spreading more than we are active spreading. It's going to be, we're not spreading an average of 88, and our like focused, you know, research is only spreading 76. And so this is going to be good for us. We were going to come in and we are going to go water tube boiler next. This one's really good. And then probably mech workshop. But we are largely at the victim of circumstance to see what it is we not spread, because our not spread will be where most of our tech is coming from. We're not spreading modern sewage. This one's pretty good. It will give us more infrastructure as well as give us some plus max well, the construction progress is nice, but construction sector max level is going to allow us to put down more construction sectors in the areas that have good mapping considerations, like for example Shaanxi, which is going to have a lot of iron, and so iron will be cheaper here, and so this will be good for us, and we should be able to, you know, add a little bit more construction here. We do want to get to 1K. We're going to try and get to 1K. I just want to point out how many loyalists we have here, and the fact that we're running max taxes right now. We have 35 million loyalists, only 12 million radicals. You can see all this plus approval we're getting from our loyalists. 14 on the industrialists, you know, 6 on the scholar officials, fair enough, and, you know, just this huge smattering. We're not even losing any approval on our radicals, and we take a look, we're achieving bonuses on very nearly everything, except for the scholar officials. We just exiled one of their boyos. They didn't like that very much. We got another pacifist, the truth hurts, etc., mostly, etc. And so this bonus is so strong, which is why we have been bolstering them this whole time. We also don't like the royalist here, but well, with the pacifist, now we're going to keep on keeping on with what we're doing, but notably, man, this pacifist is just grim. We would much prefer something else, especially a jingoist. That would be really good for us. But these bonuses are being so much easier to achieve, even when we're on high taxes, is just very nice for Great Qing in particular off the back of this, which is why we're still considering going theocracy here. I think we're going to conclude the episode here. Notably, we declared war on Japan, but we are experiencing a little bit of problems. The war on Japan was just we want to open up their market, it's not a big deal type of war, we lose outside, and the reason we've been having trouble is that this is kind of, I suppose, a bug / not really working as intended. Russia is offering us an obligation for a defense pact. We're going to say no, but what's going on is that our landing is taking absolutely forever to get in. The reason being is that we keep getting naval battles, and just as soon as the naval battle finishes, they can just come back, you know, they just need to go back to the port, wait 2 seconds, and then come back in, and we can't land while this is happening, and so it's repeatedly difficult to get in. The workaround that we're going to use is we're just going to build way more fleets, but we can't use this workaround currently, you know, with this situation with Japan, so we might just give up this war after a certain amount of time, like when our infamy gets sufficiently low. But the big thing that happened this episode is we saved Mexico. We saved Mexico. We saved Mexico. Not really saving them, but you know, we saved them. We tried our best, and that's what's count. You know, largely just doing a lot of expansion stuff. Was thinking of going after Persia. We also annexed Korea, which is going to have good territories and could notably siphon off our pops. They have pretty good mappy, especially here in Gwanbuk, where, you know, we're not building there now because it has a bunch of turmoil, but we are incorporating it, and we will be looking to do that eventually there. We still can't really put in a lot of institutions that we like having difficulty going for schools, but we actually can put schools in as our next law pass after we get landed voting, which is what we're working on currently. And so we can go after both health system and schools. And so a big part of what our future strategy is going to be is putting in central archives and then giving these institutions to our people, which are going to be very, very expensive in terms of the bureaucracy. So we're already trying to push the bureaucracy surplus up a little bit as we're doing this. And we also got to 10K construction, which is, of course, big nice. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing. And other than that, have a good day.